Gentlemen, welcome to this new video. This video is specifically for business and marketing coaches. So in this video, we're talking about why everything you've learned from Hormozi, Janko, and Welsh is working against you. So let me tell you about two types of people watching this video. The first type watches creators like Hormozi, Go, and Welsh and learns. And the second type watches them and becomes them. So if you're watching this, there's a good amount of chance that you're the second type. And I don't say this as an insult, right? I say it because it's the most common trap in the creative space right now, and almost nobody is talking about. They follow the right people. They studied the right hooks. They are showing up every day. They are being consistent in their approach. They got the growth. They made some amount of money. They thought that they cracked the code. Then the growth slowed down. The sales dried up, and content started feeling hollow. It's like playing the character, right? Like nothing they posted actually sounded like them. That exact feeling is the most valuable data you have right now. And it's pointing at a problem that has nothing to do with your hooks or niche or your consistency. So type one is the learning time. They absorb all the principles, all the information. They build on their own voice and their thinking compound with no ceiling. But the type two becomes they absorb the person, perform with someone else's voice, and the tactics stop working. They hit a ceiling. So this is what I call the mimetic trap. You didn't copy them, you absorbed them. So the wrong diagnosis is what the most majority of creators do the moment growth stops. They think I'm not consistent enough. So they post more and they burn out and nothing changes. They think my hooks aren't sharp enough. So they buy a hook course, they write better hooks, and they're still stuck. They think they're in the wrong niche. So they blow up everything they built and start over. Well, 6 months later, same plateau and different topic. So notice what every one of those responses has in common. They're all aimed at output, more posts, more better hooks, and different niche. All answers to what am I doing wrong? But nobody is asking the real question. That is, what is the strategy actually sitting on it? Take this analogy. The doctor and the headache. A patient came in with a headache. The doctor gives painkiller and it works for a week. The patient comes back with the same headache. And and the doctor gives him more pills and he comes back again. At what point does the doctor stop treating the headache and start asking, why does it keep coming back? Well, that's your content business right now. You're now running out of tactics. You're running out of foundation. And this is what we call in the business space the renovation trap. Every new strategy upgrades the surface. Nobody touches the foundation. So this is the foundation, okay? You're looking at the output, the host, the tactics, the format, the surface level stuff. Everyone is thinking about renovating and the build. And secondly, they think about and worry about the niche, their content strategy, their system. Well, these two will not work if the foundation is not in place. So the foundation is your board thinking. You have to replace your board thinking with your original thinking and stop copying someone else's blueprint. So this is what actually happened to your brand. When you started creating, you did what every smart person does. You found the best people in the space and you studied them. You reverse engineered what was working already, and then without even realizing it, you started building your brand using their blueprint. So you started using Hormozi's directness, Bo's philosophical framing, Welsh's structure system, to the Welsh's structure system. You didn't copy them word for word, but the bones of what you built, the tone, the style, the angles, the way you see and talk about your topic came from someone else's playbook. These are the borrowed tactics that can get you early traction. In the first 6 months, the algorithm doesn't care. The audience gives you the benefit of the doubt. You get the growth, you get the dopamine. You think you built and found your found formula. But there's a clock running. And most people don't know it's ticking. Over time, the audience starts to feel something. They can name it. They won't put it in the comments. But somewhere in the back of their mind, they sense what they're watching is a performance, not a person. A well executed impression of someone else's version of a personal brand. Well, that gap is the between the performance and the person. And that is exactly where the connection lies and trust fades away. It's like it's like you didn't build a brand, you build a customer. So take this for example, the cover brand. Really good cover brand. They know every song. They nail every note of the original song made by the original band. The crowd sings along, but nobody buys the cover band's album. Nobody titles the cover band's lyrics on their own. Nobody tells their friend, you have to hear this. You have to hear this cover band. They changed my life. You can recreate the music perfectly, but you cannot recreate the source. The costume gets attention. A costume can get early followers, but you can't wear someone else's signature forever. It starts to grab. Your audience can always tell. Another example. An understudy can perform the lead role flawlessly. Hit every mark. They can hit every mark, deliver every line, and a standing ovation. But nobody builds a fan club around the understudy. They're brilliant as someone else's part. The moment the original actor returns, the understudy goes back to the wings permanently. The value was always conditional. They can perform someone else's brand perfectly, but they cannot own it. And the same applies to you. So let me give you an example from history, and this is what I call peak human mapping. So Sun Tzu, from the Art of War, Sun Tzu then studied what other generals were doing and refined their methods. He went to the first principle about the nature of conflict, how terrain works, how psychology works, how deception works, and built a system only he could have built. That's why it's still read 2.5 years later. Well, I read it, I read his work too. Nobody has replaced it because it didn't come from someone else's foundation. It came entirely from his original. So when you build from first principles, you build something that can't be replicated. When you build, and when you build on borrowed thinking, you build something with an expiry date. I hope you can understand this. Let me give you another example. Aristotle, the student who didn't become his teacher. Aristotle studied Plato for 20 years. He absorbed everything. Then he, then he did what almost no student does. He went back to the first principles, built his own system from scratch, and didn't become a better Plato. He became Aristotle. We still study them as two entirely distinct intellectual monopolies. 24 years, 2400 years later, two different foundations, two legacies, not one original and not one imitative. The goal isn't to copy the best and do it cleaner. It's to study the best, track the law principles, then build something only you could build from your own foundation. So this is the reason why the tactics stop working. Think about Hormozi for a second. His bluntness, his obsession with showing proof before making a claim, the way he thinks in system and speaks in ratio, the way he treats you like an intelligent adult who can handle a hard truth. Well, here's a question for you. Is that a strategy he learned, or is that just him? Well, it's him. That's just who he is. His content work because it's his personality turned up into a full volume. The hooks, the framework, the delivery, those are just the vehicle. The real thing is the person underneath. So when you take his tactics and apply them without the specificity underneath, the tactics float. They do not tell you anything real. They do the job for a while and then they fade away because they were built for his identity, not yours. And the plateau isn't a problem with your output, it's a problem with your input. Another example. Recipe was a tip. You follow a world-class chef's recipe to the letter. Same ingredients, same techniques, same timing. The dish comes out great, really great, but it's not your dish. If someone takes the recipe away, you can't make it anymore. You can't make it anymore. You made it, but you didn't create it. You're a skilled executor, not a cook. That's the difference between following the recipe and becoming a chef. One gives you a result, other gives you a capability. One has ceiling and the other compound. I hope you're understanding me. I'm just spreading awareness on where you are right now and why the plateau is in the problem with your output. The problem is with your input. Another example, the photocopy chain. Photocopy chain. Photocopy a document. The copy looks identical, readable, clear, functional. Now the copy, then photocopy that one. By the fifth generation, by the fifth generation, it's blurry. By the tenth, it's barely legible. Every copy loses resolution. The original never degrades. And most personal brands here in this space are third and fourth generation copies of the original. They don't know they're blind. The audience does. So this is kind of a mapping of the board foundation and the original foundation. So year one, there is a fast plateau in the board foundation. And the year two, plateau comes. Year three, the plateau comes. And year four, plus the ceiling comes. But if we build from the original foundation, the growth is slow at the start. Year two, it builds. Year three, it compounds. And year four, you have no ceiling until you have no ceiling, but to monopolize the entire market. The ceiling effects, the ceiling effects, board foundations step out. Original foundations compound past the ceiling. So the pattern you can't see is I want you to go and find any creator who blew up fast in one year and then quietly faded by year two. Look back at the earliest content. Look back at his earliest content. Almost every time you will see that the energy, the style, and the format is modern, is inspired. It's a cleaner version of someone bigger. Now do the opposite. Find a creator with an audience that genuinely converts, not just a real buyer, real loyalty, and you will be able to see that. Real word of mouth. Look at the content from the beginning. Almost always, it's messier. It's less polished, less optimized, but there's something in it that's very specific, a point of view, a voice you couldn't confuse with anyone else. So the creator plateau, fast growth in year one, content felt borrowed early on. His content feels borrowed early on. His audience grew but didn't convert. The format changes and the niche pivots. He has good numbers, but no monopoly. But the creator who compounded has a messier start, has less polished content, but has a specific point of view from day one. His audience his audience starts converting. They refer him to their friends, and they stay. The comments sound like talking to your friend, with no ceiling and compounds over time. Now look at Hormozi, Co, and Welsh. They're all in the same place. They all talk about business, money, growth, identity. So if we lined up their topics, they'd overlap massively, but they couldn't feel more different from each other. Hormozi feels like a boxing coach who genuinely wants you to win. Co feels like a philosopher who got rich and now wants to explain how the world actually works. Welsh feels like a senior colleague giving you the systems he wishes someone had given him. Three completely different people with the same topic but completely different signature style. The information is everywhere. The person is irreplaceable. People don't follow the information, they follow the specific human behind it. People buy from people. Take this as an example, the Jimi Hendrix guitar. Hand a strap to any guitarist in the world and ask them to play like Hendrix. They can learn the licks, nail the technique, use the exact same guitar, same setting, same amp, but it still won't sound like Hendrix. Because what made Hendrix wasn't the guitar, it was how specific psychology translated to the instrument. Content is the same, content is the instrument. Signature is you. No amount of technique practice replicates a signature that doesn't exist yet. So the fix isn't more output. The new course isn't going to fix it. A better hook formula isn't going to fix it. A new niche, a new format, a new platform, none of it. Not because those things are useless, but because you're building them on a foundation that doesn't belong to you. So you can't out execute a broken foundation. It will compound over time and will result in your stagnation and a ceiling and a ceiling. The ceiling isn't the strategy. It's in what the strategy is sitting upon. Then describe sitting upon. Your signature is the most you thing that exists. Nobody practiced it. Nobody practiced it. Nobody copied it. It just develops over time from years of writing your name, your hand, your pressure, your rhythm, your specific neurology. It's impossible to force con- convincingly because it didn't came from instruction. It came from you. And your brand should be as impossible to replicate as a handwriting. That's what we're building here. That's what a monopoly is called. You don't have to compete, bro. You don't. Just don't compete. Build a monopoly. The fix is going. The fix is going. The fix is going back to the foundation, finding the thing that's actually yours, building from that, from the start. That's what this channel is about. Not more frameworks copy. The actual work of finding your real foundation and building something on it, and it compounds forever. So if that's the conversation you've been looking for, you're in the fucking right place, brother. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you next time.